We're doing no harvest on chimps, so start with an NG. Right in that bottom corner, there's a tiny little gap where you can place him, so take your time. Try and line him up with the fence post and then just place him down. Then get a dart and put it right in that corner, as close to the corner as possible. Make sure you don't forget, like me, and set your NG to last. That's very important. If you don't, you're going to lose. So sometimes this setup can carry you all the way through round 9, but in this guide we're not going to be doing that because it's a bit too RNG based. It doesn't usually happen. So instead we're going to be buying oversized nails when we can in order to prevent that RNG. So get oversized nails at the start of round 9. And then get pinned as soon as possible. During round 13, slow it down and then get ezili and put her right next to that dart monkey as low as you can. The placement isn't too precise, but I'd recommend trying to put it as low as you can. The lower the better, but don't worry about it too much. It's not that serious. This run is super chill and really easy, because that's the point of the run. The easiest no harvest that I've seen personally. Make sure you set ezili to strong. You should always have ezili on strong, no matter which map or run you're using her for. Just a little tip there. During 16, turn off auto start because we want to place the factory kind of precisely. At the end of 16, get this factory, place it to the right of ezili, again as low as possible. I didn't do that here, but it works out completely fine. But I would recommend putting it lower if you can. But you don't really need to worry too much about it. Get bigger stacks during round 20 as soon as possible. And then faster production during 22. And then even faster production during the start of 26. Round 27 goes down, no problems. This setup is pretty clean. It's pretty easy to use for the most part. There are a few rounds that get a bit close, but nothing leaks ever, so you're not going to have any problems. Get white hot spikes whenever you want. It's not actually necessary, but we're going to get it for spiked balls, so you may as well just get it whenever. As soon as possible, during round 32, get spiked balls on the factory. and then buy an alchemist and place it exactly where I do, in that little space between the cornfields. Make sure you leave it on first, that's very important for some RNG prevention purposes. And then just give it acidic mixture dip whenever you want, because our xfactor can already hit leads, so it doesn't really matter. Get Berserker Brew as soon as possible, and then get Stronger Acid and Perishing Potions as soon as you can. During 39, turn off Auto Start, and make sure that you get Stronger Steam as soon as possible, just to prevent some RNG that can happen. You don't ever lose to 40, but still, it's better. Get Double Gun and Larger Service Area at the end of 39. Not actually needed to beat 40, but it is needed for 43. After round 40, get a Wizard and place it above your Dart Monkey, as left as possible, also being as low as possible. The placement really isn't that precise. Give him Fireball, and then you can turn on Auto Start again. We're not going to have any problems. Save up for Wall of Fire. Don't buy Intense Magic quite yet. Then get Intense Magic and Monkey Sense after you get Wall of Fire during round 41. '43 sometimes has some RNG and it gets close, but you will never lose. During 43, get Shimmer on your Wizard Monkey. And then get Necromancer as soon as possible. And now there is literally nothing to do until we save up for Spiked Mine, so I'll be back then. Just make sure that you relocate your Necro Balloons to as far down in the track as possible, so where I just put it. And that's it. Right before 50, get Spiked Mines, and now we're completely set until we get Prince of Darkness. None of the rounds are even close except for 63, which gets close but you never lose to it, so it doesn't matter. The rounds from now till we get Pod are completely hands-free as well, so feel free to take a break or go to the toilet or whatever you need to do. You will be completely fine. During 65, get Prince of Darkness, and now we're like super set for a long time. After Pod, get a xfactor and place it above ezili in the middle part of the map. Depending on your prior placements, this placement might be a bit to the right or the left, but it really does not matter. We have plenty of space, so don't worry about it. Just put it as low as you can, essentially. And give it 220, so even faster production and white hot spikes. Then what you want to do with this factory, after it's 220, is give it Moab Shredder and then Spike Storm. In this run, I completely forget to do that for like a long time, but it has like no effect because we never ever even use the Spike Storm ability one time. That's how good this setup is, you never have to use a Spike Storm. Ever. So I'm going to speed it up now, but just know that get Spike Storm and Moab Shredder earlier rather than later. It's only going to speed up the round, so you may as well do that. And yeah, I'll be back on the voice comms when we afford Carpenter Spikes. During 84, or at the start of 85, doesn't actually matter. Get Carpenter Spikes. I get it a bit late here, but it's completely fine. Because Pod is awesome. Still. And yeah, now we essentially just cruise to victory. You can give that bottom engineer deconstruction. It doesn't really help with much, but it doesn't hurt either, and it's super cheap, so why not? After deconstruction, get a glue. First, locate the glue in the buy screen. There it is, there's a glue. And place it above Pod as left as possible. And just leave it there for now, it's a placeholder. Get the second NG and place him to the right of the glue above this factory. About as middle as you can. The placement isn't really that important, honestly. And give that NG 420, so Sentry Expert with deconstruction on first. He's going to be the Sentry Champ. This strat is so easy that I had like so many different choices for this final tier 5. But I decided to go with Sentry Champ because I don't use that tower enough. And also it's kind of funny to have Sentry Champion on a tiny island with limited space and not as much use out of his sentry guns as you possibly can, and still beat an advanced map. So yeah. That final tier 5, honestly, you could use anything. I first tried Total Transformation, but you can't beat 98 with it, sadly. So the early 90s, you don't need any abilities. They just go down, you don't even have to move pods, balloons. We will have to do that a bit later on though. I'm not sure if this is the easiest cornfield no harvest. I honestly wouldn't know. I haven't really seen any other videos on it. I just kind of stole a bunch of people's ideas and then put in some of my own and made this guide. But yeah, this is probably one of the easiest cornfield chimps you'll ever see. Not probably, definitely. 93 gets completely mauled by Carpenter Spikes. 94, you can use Moab Hex if you want. You don't actually have to, but I'd recommend it. Use it as soon as you can see that final ZOMG come out. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to relocate the pod, I don't believe. But you can if you want. Doesn't really matter, one way or the other. 95, make sure you put the pod balloons back to the normal spot. And 95 gets completely demolished by a carpet of spikes. It's kind of hilarious, actually. Pod is just so good. 96. There's a bit of stunting, and then the ZOMGs come out. Once you see that final ZOMG come out, just use Moab Hex. And then get Sentry Champ in the middle of 96. And for 96, you will have to relocate Pod's balloons. So just put it near to where the Alk is. At the start of 97, get 013 on your glue, set it to strong, and then you can relocate the Pod back to the normal spot. 97 is a pathetic round. You don't need to relocate it for 97, by the way, like at all. So just leave it at the start for 98. 98, use the Hex once you see that last ZOMG. Get glue splatter on the glue. And that's it. It gets a bit close sometimes, but you don't lose. Make sure you relocate Pod as soon as the ZOMGs turn upwards. I did it a bit late, so it's a bit closer than it should be, but it's completely fine. 99, you don't have to relocate it at all, really. You should do it for 100 though. And 100 is like really easy. There's nothing you have to do. There's nothing you can do because Moab Hex doesn't work yet. Because ezili levels up so slowly. But there's nothing you need to do, so just make sure you relocate Pod, and other than that, you've completely won. You don't even have to relocate it, as you see. Just makes it go faster. Get your Insta. Super easy as sleep. No harvest on Cornfield. Hope you enjoyed.